This is Steven Diego, and you are tuned in to Breaking Down the Breakdown. On today's episode, we are going to talk about efforts in your personal relationships. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. OMG, so excited to be here. It's another week, another episode of Breaking Down the Breakdown with me, Steven Diego. How's everyone doing? I hope your week was not as rough as mine. It was a fun week, but I swear to God, every time I talk to you guys, every time I come back, it's like everything is so rough. Everything is so, like I can't even fucking explain it. But I'm back with a new episode. I was thinking about bringing in a few friends, a few guests, because it is Pride Month. And, unfortunately, I didn't realize it was Pride Month until maybe yesterday. I mean, did I know about it? Yeah, but it didn't really sink in. Then I was like, wait a minute. I should totally make a Pride-themed, few episodes, which I will eventually. It's something I've always wanted to do. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of things to talk about. And it would, especially in this day and age and what's happening in the world right now, I think it is the best time to kind of talk about these issues because there's a lot of misunderstandings. But we're going to get to that when it's that episode. Today, I want to talk about, oh my goodness, I will use myself as kind of like, I don't want to say scapegoat, but I'm going to be talking about my personal experiences about efforts when it comes to personal relationships, right? And when we say personal relationships, a lot of people think romantic, right? And yes, that is a part of it. But I specifically stated personal relationships because that can, that's like an umbrella term for me, right? It could be friendships with your work relationships, with your love life, with your family. So you know what? It's an all, and I can't say that word, encompassing. Not me trying to use a big word and I can't even fucking pronounce it. Anyways, I'm really good at spelling. ENCOMPASSING. Unfortunately, it's hard to speak with my retainers on, but that's like a weekly theme. Anyway, I wanted to talk about it because I was wondering, right? I was sitting, it was a Saturday, and the night before, I just finished binge drinking with a few friends, great friends. And the thing with me is, like, when I drink now, the next day is not really enjoyable. It's just not. It is so fucking shitty. And part of it is because I go down this rabbit hole of overthinking. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but, maybe we can talk about drinking another episode, which I actually do want to talk about it. But one of the very few things I thought about that really sent me into this spiral is just how poorly I've maintained my friendships. Everybody knows for a long time now what I'm dealing with, and it makes it very hard for me to stay present at times, right? Unfortunately, I still have that bad habit of, forming great bonds, but disappearing right after. And am I ghosting them? Not on purpose. There are certain days, certain situations in which I cannot be there because I am dealing with my own stuff. But, we always have to ask ourselves, right? Why is it that it's so easy, at least for some of us, to just, and I don't want to say drop people because that's not what's happening here, but that's what it feels like. And that's how they feel, right? Why is it so easy for us, for people like me, who, admittedly have mental health disorders that makes it very hard to socialize or make it seem easy, but then cannot maintain that relationship? Why is it easier to kind of walk away from things, right? There's no responsibility whatsoever. And maybe that's it. Maybe I just answered it because there's no responsibility. We feel that there's no sense of responsibility. And I sit here and I wonder, do people out there actually exist in which for them this is okay and they are justified in disappearing from friendships, relationships, any other type of relationship that you have because, your mental health was acting up? Are there people out there who feel like it's justified that they can make plans and not even tell the person they're not going to show up anymore? And this actually happened to me 2 weeks ago. I still have to talk to my friend but I did warn her. I was like, you know what, depending on how the night goes, I might not be able to make it, right? Because depending on how drunk I get, and there were 2 places I needed to be, and I couldn't do it because I was just so gone, so out of it. But you see, this is where I start to sound like I'm trying to explain my point of view, or my stance on this, where I'm just, oh no, but I don't want it to come off like that. So I'm going to be genuine with y'all, right? It just so happens that I couldn't make it. I could have let them know the next day. I could have just said, fuck, I fucked up. I'm so sorry. Yet for some reason, I just didn't have the courage to even do that because I knew I had fucked up. And I always have this reaction, this notion that, okay, I will wait for them to ask me what happened so that I can explain everything. And if they don't ask me what happened, well, it's not like they cared that much. Terrible pattern that I have, right? It's a terrible habit. It just feeds into, it feeds into that kind of thinking that I don't want to have, right? I don't want to think that way. I don't want to feel like it's justified to do these things, that it's okay. Yes, it's okay to not show up. Of course, if you're not feeling like you don't want to show up to things, that's your time, right? The thing with me is that I wanted to be there. But the way that it tracks, the way things track for me is that when events happen, you only really have the weekend for these events to happen. I work, not a lot. Well, 4 days, right? So 4 days a week I work, right? Working where I'm at, working at Starbucks is kind of draining because I do have to use a lot of social battery. That on my days off, I actually do prefer just not doing anything, which is bad. I feel like that's my age showing. When I was younger, I was, super fucking social. And I still can be. But that's where I turn to drinking. And that's where drinking just sends me back into oblivion, into not wanting to do anything for the rest of the week. So you see this vicious cycle that I'm trying to paint, right? I'm so tired from work. I want to go see friends. I make plans with friends. I have the first plan and I kind of I overdo it. I go overboard and all of my plans for that weekend is gone. And I do not have the decency to even reach out and say, I fucked up. I'm so sorry. How many of us out there are like that? That's not me chastising you, right? This is me letting you know, hey, that's actually not cool. That's rich coming from someone like me, right? But this is me taking accountability for these things. This is why I wanted to talk about it. It was important for me to get the point across that for a lot of us, we tend to wonder why our friendships are not as strong. Our bonds are not as strong anymore. For a lot of us, we know why. We're very aware. We're aware that we're not the kind of friend that, they're probably looking for at the moment, that they need at the moment, because we can't give that to them, right? But more often than not, that kind of thinking actually brings us further away from people forcibly because we try to adapt and we try to evolve into this kind of mentality where we'll always just be distant just so we can avoid any sort of friction, any sort of conflict with people that we care about. And so we end up watching from the sidelines, always wishing that we could be there with them, for them. But because we don't want to make that effort, we end up feeling like, okay, we're fine here. But we're not. Because why do we think about it some nights? Why do we feel like we're losing sleep over it, right? Because it's not okay. And it's okay that it's not okay. There will always be a point in which we start to kind of want to change the way things are going. And this is it. I wanted to share this with you guys because I've been doing this for majority of my life. Not just because of my OCD, actually. It wasn't just because of the pandemic. The pandemic definitely solidified this, right? And it's not even because I was scared to go out. It was just because we got used to it. But even before the pandemic, like what I said before, I was super social. I'm a social butterfly, right? Like I would go to parties, meet a lot of friends, try to go to a party with them again, and then never talk to them again. And I feel like that's a lot of us. That's just how things are, right? But in those groups, I actually end up making very good friends with one or two. And I noticed that they always seem to be the one to ask me to hang out. Like I never make an effort to ask anybody to go and just catch up. And let me tell you something. I would have nights, even days, where I would feel so lonely. Like I have no one. I have a lot of friends, yes, and they're all busy, yes. But aside from that, I kind of lull myself into this, how do I say this? It's like a false state of mind, right? Like I start to believe these fake scenarios in my head that I deserve to be alone because I'm a terrible human being and that's why no one wants to be friends with me. But in reality, it's because I don't put in the effort. And I would rather blame them for not wanting to be around me than admit that I have a problem. Admit that it's me, that I am the issue, that I have things I need to sort out. And we all know that when there is an issue, right, sorting it out is important before you can move on, or else it will be recurring, right? It will always be present. And unfortunately, that's why it's always been present. Because I've never, up until now, never wanted to deal with it. Think of it this way, right? For those of you who are listening, I have a pretty decent social media presence on several platforms. Let's just say that. I got family listening. But I have messages every other day from new people. I have messages that reminds me I haven't spoken to them. I have messages that just downright tell me I'm a terrible human being for not responding. I'm a snob. I realistically want to set a day where I can just respond to every single message that I get. Because I think it's actually very endearing that people have the time to message me just to say hi. Fuck it. Even like obscenities, like even like really fucked up shit. I appreciate that they are taking out their time to connect with someone like me, a stranger that they don't know, a stranger that they see posts of, right? I do. I really fucking do. But the problem, the issue that I'm having is that when the moment that I open that message and I respond to be courteous, the conversation is, so what's up? Well, nothing much. What's up with you? Same. Okay. So what are you looking for? Well, gosh, honestly, nothing. And it's awkward. And I feel bad because I feel like I can't contribute to the conversation that they want me to have with them. But in reality, I just don't know them. And the argument here is, well, why don't you take the time to get to know them? That's how you build friendships. Am I correct? Okay, let me just try this times, 1,300 for all 1,300 messages that I have unread from 1,300 individuals who had messaged me. This is one of the situations that I'm dealing with. And unfortunately, it's bleeding into my everyday life. I have bonds that I would like to strengthen with my best friends, with my old friends, right? That I can't even seem to do. Because every time I would get to a point where, okay, you know what? Let's make a schedule. Let's do this. Let's show up. That day comes, and honestly, 34 events had already happened that really fucked with me. That if I end up going to whatever this is that we're doing, I will not be fun. I'll probably burst into tears. I'll probably talk to myself, be by myself. And it's just going to sour the entire mood. But you see, that way of thinking right there is wrong. Because how do you know that that's what's going to happen? We can't tell the future unless you're actually planning on sabotaging the day. And, admittedly, I know of a few people, maybe just one or two, thankfully, in which that's their MO. They want to show up because they want to share their misery. And no matter how much you cheer them up, no matter how much you tell them, hey, we're here for you. What time is it? Oh, we've been here for 4 hours and they're still sad and talking about the same thing. You know how I know who these people are? Because I used to be one of them. Right? Alluding to the past few episodes that we talked about. I was like that. And so it's ingrained in my mind that I'm just going to end up doing that. But I'm acting as if I have no choice. At least now, this is something that I don't want to do. This is something that I don't want to feel, that I have no choice. That I am in control of my emotions. I can be emotional, but I can also be strategic, right? I can if I'm somewhere, right? I can be tactful. If I'm somewhere where the setting is not like that, why would I start talking about it? I can learn to live in the present. Well, I need to really learn to live in the present. Here we go again, Filipino accent coming out. Living in the present means that you're not thinking about what happened yesterday, and you're not going to think about what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Okay, impossible. Next hour. Because, in the next 5 minutes, you see someone coming to you and they're walking your way. In 3 minutes, they'll be in front of you. So you know it's going to happen, right? But you know what I mean. Immediate future, right? Like, you can't tell these things. You are not a psychic. Unless you are. Then shit, honestly, I feel for you. I'm acting like I believe in psychics. I do. I was talking to my friend about this, but, the world is too small. I mean, the world is too small. Jesus. The world is too big. Right? The earth is small. The earth is too small. The universe is so big that, honestly, the possibilities in this universe are endless. I don't want to derail my point, but reeling it back into, relationships. We always seem to make an excuse to not put in efforts in friendships or other aspects of relationships with different groups, because we feel that we have to put in a lot of effort in our relationship with ourselves. And I think in the truest forms, that is the most important relationship to have. I mean, if you're super religious, relationship with God is also super important, right? Maybe second to that. Or, I don't know, I would say first, because how can you have a relationship with others, with who you worship, if you can't have a relationship with yourself? That means you're putting up an act. I want to say that it's not wrong to put in a lot of effort into your relationship with yourself, especially if you've been through it. But you also have to understand, it's like work. Why do you think days off exist? Why do you think that if somebody goes to work every single day, no matter how fun the job is, they do get burnt out? This is what it's going to look like. You're already working on yourself every day. Are you sure you're not just making it as an excuse? You worked on yourself on the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday. Now you have to go work on your relationships with your friends or a loved one on a Saturday. And you're going to sit there and say, nuh-uh, because I want to work on me. Haven't you been working on you the past few days? You could say no. Why? Because I was working. Okay, and I'm tired, and this is my only day off. Okay, so then why did you make plans with your friends? Was it a good idea at the time? Yeah. Why is it not a good idea now? Because I'm burnt out. Any motherfucking response you're able to deflect, right? Any fucking question as to why this is not a good idea, you have an answer for. You are putting in so much effort into not wanting to put an effort into other aspects, into other relationships. And why is that? I'm talking to myself here. Don't worry, guys. If you feel attacked by this, I apologize. Then maybe you're exactly like me, right? But this is something that I wrestled with on Saturday. I have so many people who want to hang out, want to see me. I think I'm a little jaded, to be honest. I was speaking to my friend about this, because they were talking about how they also are feeling like, what's the point? Because people aren't making efforts, right? And I was telling them, honestly, you can look at my Instagram stories. I'm out all the time with friends that I see once or twice a year, right? But that's it. That's like their quota of seeing me. And I see them hang out with each other almost all the time. And I complained that I wasn't invited. I complained that it feels like, this and that. And nothing clicked for me until him and I got off the phone. And I sat here and I thought, why was that? Why does it feel that way? Why was I so quick to throw this whole thing of, no, I'm alone. I feel alone. I have so many friends that only want to see me once a year. Well, shit, why is that? And I realized it's because I set that precedent, right? Like I was the one who said, I'm so busy. I can probably see you guys like once or twice a year, but I have so much shit I got to do. Everything came from me. Should I start hating myself now? Should I stop working on myself now? No. If anything, this is more of a reason to work on my relationship with myself, to figure out why I feel the need to do these things. We can't control how we feel. We really can't. We can say we're in control of our emotions, yes, to a certain extent, right? But that's what feelings are. Feelings are they're just feelings, right? And I don't say that to be dismissive of feelings, but Sometimes feelings are logical, sometimes they are not. We can't really trust it, right? So we have to add a little bit of reason and logic into why we're feeling and how we are feeling and to what we are feeling. And for me, that was the big thing. That's what set me into a spiral, to be honest. It was realizing that I was the one to blame for not putting as much of an effort as all of my amazing friends have been putting into our relationship. I see conversations dying out, being reduced to memes, being reduced to, a hey once every 2 weeks, because I rarely have anything to say back. And at some point, I needed to take responsibility. I can't sit here and say, I'm sorry, there are too many people to connect with. I can, yes. But the question that I have for myself is why am I not proactive about this? There are people we see or talk to once in the blue moon, and when you talk to them, it feels like no time has passed. There is a sort of, how do you say this? I want to say a dance. You dance is like it takes two, but that right there is proof that it's doable to not always have to be present, but when you are, the love will always be there. And the question that I had for myself is, so then why do some of my friends feel like I don't give a fuck? Well, shit. Maybe because I'm acting like I don't give a fuck. If people ask me, when people ask me how I am, I always say the same thing. Not very good. I'm so stressed. I'm stressed 365 days a year. I mean, that is a mood. I think we all are, right? But I never follow it up with anything much more significant other than, what about you? I hope you're okay. It's almost as if I'm giving nothing and everything at the same time. I'm Dua Lipaing the friendship. That's what the fuck is going on here. I'm doing the Hilary Duff with love dance in this fucking friendship. If you don't know the reference, please Google it. I feel like I'm breadcrumbing friendships. And that has to stop. Effort needs to be put into places where effort is deserved to be put in. And I genuinely believe that a lot of our friendships deserve that kind of effort, especially those friendships in which they are putting in that kind of effort. Why do we have to think of it as 0 to 100? Well, shit, now we got to go above and beyond. Nobody fucking asked you to go above and beyond. All they're asking for sometimes is a little bit of a give and take. And I'm telling y'all, it is not too late. If you have friendships that you felt that you've let down, say your piece. Try to make amends. If they don't want to hear it anymore, that is their right. The important thing is that you tried, even though it's a little too late. Because you trying, it's not about the result that you get. It's not about what happens after you try it with these people. It's what happens after you try with these people with the other people that you're going to try with after. It's like going to the gym, right? It's like a resistance thing. It's like you're working out, right? You're working out your I realize I made a mistake muscle. I realize I need to be a better friend muscle. I realize that I need to be a better son. I need to be a better daughter. I need to be a better boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I need to be a better partner in this relationship. And that's something that is so hard to do. Because it will take a lot of us. It would take stepping out of this little safe bubble we've created for ourselves, in which we think we are justified in being alone and not letting anyone in. And that takes a lot. And for a lot of us who are experiencing this right now, it's the stuff of nightmares. Well, I didn't mean to give us a lecture. I was really lecturing myself, but if the shoe fits, hey. But I hope that if you are experiencing what I am experiencing, listening to this episode made you realize, okay, it's time to just put on your boots, start walking, and go on your apology tour. And just be a better friend. It's not easy, but it would really, really help you. And hopefully improve your relationship with yourself. Seeing the kind of effort you're willing to put in for other people. This has been Breaking Down the Breakdown. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, I'm going to try to bring friends onto the podcast to talk about being gay. No, I mean, really though. There's a lot that's going on in the world right now. And I think hearing people's stories on being part of the community, can help kind of bridge the gap for a lot of people. It's a tough life, I'm not kidding. But thank you for listening. I love you all. Remember, be kind, be compassionate. You don't know what the person next to you is going through. Fight that urge to make fun of them. Fight that urge to say, what the fuck's wrong with this person? And try looking at it from a lens in which you are the one being examined when you are having your breakdown. I'll see you guys later. Good night.